All right, hello everybody. This is Brooks Lindsay, the founder and editor of debatepd.org. We have a great article today for you on deporting illegal immigrants from the United States. We had done before an article on a path to citizenship for illegal immigrants, and a corollary of that article and that debate is deporting illegal immigrants. So this has become obviously very heated following the Arizona law that is, fairly anti-illegal immigrant. And the intention of that law is to create conditions on the ground that deter more illegal immigrants coming in and also compel illegal immigrants in Arizona to, quote, self-deport. But the debate on deportation revolves around a number of primary sub-questions, one of which is the feasibility. Is it feasible to actually deport 13 to 15 million illegal immigrants? So Lou Dobbs said once, quote, "When this president and open borders legal alien amnesty advocates say you can't deport them, my answer is, you want to bet? Because this is the United States." So he's pretty, go get 'em on U.S. power and our ability to do this. There are certainly many examples in recent history of hubris in the United States as to how much power it actually has to affect change. Need I cite Iraq, etc. So not necessarily the case that just because we're the United States we're capable of deporting all these 13 to 15 million people. So the counter-argument is deporting 13 million illegal immigrants is simply not possible. Remember that this is, if we do it, a case of deporting each one of these individuals individually. So you'd have to find them, arrest them, you would have to then legally process them after jailing them, and then you would have to actually transport them back to Mexico, repatriate them. This is a pretty expensive process at each one of these roughly 5 elements in the stage, because you can't just arrest someone and then not charge them and deport them. You have to put them through a legal process, and all of that costs a lot of money. So one estimate by the Center for American Progress put it that it would be about $250 billion to do this, and that's combining all those 5 little stages for each individual in this pool of 13 to 15 million illegal immigrants. So another argument, though, in favor of deportation is that you don't necessarily have to be doing an individual deportation for each one of these 15 million. So one person says deporting illegal immigrants in smaller numbers is feasible. This is Ian De Silva, and he says in 2006, quote, "No one is seriously talking about mass deportation. For anyone with a modicum of common sense knows we could not round up all the illegal aliens at once. However, we can round them up in smaller numbers, and over time, the cumulative effect of roundups will have an undeniably deterrent effect." So yeah, maybe we could just aim for 1 million or maybe 2 million, and this would encourage new illegal immigrants not to immigrate, and it would encourage existing ones in the country to, quote, self-deport. And this is generally a philosophy often argued, Republican circles in the Arizona law for sure, which is create just an environment that's very uncomfortable for illegal immigrants so that they don't feel welcome and they'll get out on their own. Another element to this is whether or not past deportations have been successful. So some argue mass deportation has been successful in the past, therefore it will be successful now. Here's a quote from the Napa Valley Register in 2010, quote, "Bring back President Hoover, who in the Great Depression ordered the deportation of illegal aliens to make jobs available to American citizens that desperately needed work. Bring back President Truman, who deported more than 2 million illegals after World War II to create jobs for returning veterans. Bring back President Eisenhower, who deported 13 million Mexican nationals. It was done so veterans would have a better chance at jobs. If they could deport the illegals back then, they could sure do it today." So again, we've done it before, we can do it now. But there are a lot of problems, factual problems in this quote and in the general analysis here. So no past administration deported close to 13 million illegals. So this is a very good resource on factcheck.org. It was produced July 9th in 2010. Here's just a brief summary. Quote, question, did Eisenhower deport 13 million illegal immigrants? Did Hoover and Truman use mass deportations to open jobs for U.S. citizens? Answer is no. Nothing close to 13 million persons were deported during any administration. In fact, it goes on to cite that this quote in this article, which it's actually specifically addressing a fact check, of 13 million Mexican nationals being deported under President Eisenhower is false, and perhaps even a typo, that it was only 1.3 million according to some records, but that it was probably much less than that if you just go by, I don't know, other figures. But there's no doubt that it was not 13 million. Never did it come even close. The very maximum number under any of these administrations might have been 1/100th the amount to 1/10th of the amount that would be required now to do a full deportation campaign.